Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the show for leaders who want real results, not more noise. Join Emanuel Rose as he helps business builders turn AI from a confusing add-on into a practical advantage with clearer messaging, stronger trust, and smarter systems. If you felt the shift happening in real time, you're not imagining it. In the agentic pivot, Emanuel calls it the move from experimenting with AI to building with it, so it supports your team, your brand, and your growth. Let's get into it.
It's great to see you. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI. I'm your host, Emanuel Rose. And today I'm really excited to be talking with Mike Verrett. He's got over 25 years in brand marketing. Mike has a profound ability to understand audience dynamics. He excels at guiding businesses on how to effectively communicate their unique value to their target audiences. Mike's philosophy revolves around the idea that to resonate with consumers, brands must present themselves as either first, best, or distinct. Today, he'll share practical strategies on how to differentiate your brand in a crowded marketplace. Let's dive in and see what we can get out of Mike today. Thank you so much for taking some time, Mike. I've been really looking forward to having a talk with you.
Emanuel, it is my pleasure, and I've been looking forward to this as well. I think it'll be fun. It's a crossroads of two unique topics in my mind, so I'm looking forward to it.
For sure, yeah, and I think it is the interesting time right now, right, where we have access to the tools to reach and talk to anybody who matches our ICP, and so the real question is, how do we do that so that we're actually talking to our ICP?
Well, AI is only going to be as strong as how humans use it, right? And if you put something into AI that's inaccurate, I'm talking about remedial chat GPT, Claude kind of stuff, okay?
Yep.
If you put something in there about what you're trying to accomplish, right? It's going to spit out answers for you. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not going to tell you exactly what you have to say or how to say it, because it just doesn't understand how a human perceives the business. It can't do it yet. Let's put it that way.
Right. Sure.
So no matter what platform you're using, whatever tools you're building, they're qualified by answering the question, what do you do? And that's a hard question to answer for businesses. They know everything about their business, right? 100% about what you do. I know 100% about what I do. But when it comes to marketing ourselves and talking about ourselves, our audience only cares about 5%. And finding that 5% is needle in a stack of needles kind of stuff when it's your business, right? Well, imagine building your story, your brand a certain way, and then introducing that to AI. And it, for better or worse, just sort of files it as, okay, that's exactly what this business does. Right. Here's the tricky part. If it sounds the same as other businesses that do the same thing, ChatGPT is going to pick up on that. It's going to list companies that have those services. And right away, you're being thrown into the mix on something as remedial as ChatGPT, based on the fact that AI doesn't read humans, doesn't understand humans the way we do. I look at everything through the lens of a, a networking conversation, right? Well, could I program or explain to AI to replace me in a one-to-one with another human being? No, not yet. And I am not immune to the fact that AI is used in brilliant ways already. My wife works for Compass Real Estate, which is a national organization, and they have a tool where you put in the address and it spits out how much to charge, or how much to price it at, who the ideal customer profile is, when to place it up for sale, and all the 3 or 4 marketing things are going to work best for this property.
Right.
It's brilliant use of AI. Any real estate agent can do that, right? But it needs a consistent message starting out. And that's what I feel is sometimes missing from the idea of AI. People writing their resumes using just AI. To me, that doesn't make sense. I
Yeah,
think there needs to be
and by
a
not
sense of authenticity, but
and by not having ideal client profiles or specific target groups that you're talking to, then you're just talking to everybody. And how could you be first, best, or different when you're just talking one piece of content or one focus like that, right?
correct. Yeah, I think let's take an example of this. Example is going to be a little far out there, but let's say it's a public relations firm, okay, and their job is to put out news for companies. Well, what if they started using AI to do that? Just say, write about this company and this accomplishment, and just started pumping it out like that. I mean, again, I'm sticking to very remedial AI examples because,
Yep.
frankly, the world I live in, that's what most people know. That's what most people use. The impact of a PR firm putting in a request to write this to what effectively is a yes man.
Right.
ChatGPT is just, sure, I'll do that. Sure, you want this? I'll do that.
Yeah.
You are not going to get the same result as trained PR minds writing the news. That's pretty straightforward. But think about the strength of that PR agency if they position themselves as we make news matter. Instead of saying we're a PR firm, we make news matter. You can't find the words. We find the ones to add the impact your news needs.
Yep.
Now they could build a tool that, based on AI, could spit out the perfect media strategy or PR strategy for that company. But it can't write it. It can't write what the release is. So there's a certain point where human nature, common sense, and just understanding that we're talking to each other, that needs to be maintained. This is me preaching from me. This is
Right.
my
Well,
pedestal, but it's how I feel about it and what I see. If
you're the chief pitch officer. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, if you can't stand out from everybody else, AI isn't going to help you. That's what I think. You end up explaining your AI functionality as a feature of your business, and they still haven't grabbed onto what your business, like why your business is there, what it could do for them, and how.
Yeah, and so how do marketers or small business owners, how do we break that down into some serviceable areas to think about and build a message around from what you've seen work?
That's a great question. In fact, I see it as a really, really effective organizational tool. What I mean by that is I asked it to lay out an outline for a handbook, like a regular book, based on a workbook that I had written. And the way it structured it was perfect. I wouldn't have been able to structure it myself, but I'm in the process of rewriting every single line because it just can't, even though my tone and personality comes across in the workbook, it still can't find me. And it's using words that I don't use. It's using words that I would never use. So very often I look at it through the angle of it writes the flashcards. You remember in school we used to learn to use flashcards to write an essay?
Yeah.
It's a great way to create the flashcards, but you need to do the writing. And that's what I would say to any solopreneur, entrepreneur starting out. When you have to think of everything, AI is not a shortcut. AI is a great tool. It helps me think. It helps me, try to organize things. I use it for that kind of stuff all the time because it's like, oh, good. Somebody knows this because I can't find it in my head. But you lose the personality of your business if the message isn't maintained and all of a sudden you're just going by what AI tells you to write. AI's methodology would probably be very different than mine. That said, I loaded it into, I think it was Claude. And I asked it to fill, using my methodology, complete my workbook.
Right.
What it came back with was about 75% acceptable to me.
Right.
It still missed key things, no matter how many times I tried to tell it. The first thing, the connection point with your audience is based on their motivation, not your solution. It kept pushing the solution to the front.
Right.
I mean, the solution is what they need to get out of it, but the motivation is I can't, my news needs to matter. I need a PR firm. Their motivation needs to matter. It didn't know how to start with that. I go through, connect with them on their motivation to show the insight, like one insight to a solution in a sentence. No matter how many times I told it, it started explaining the solution in a long paragraph.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that hard for it to, like, I had to keep adjusting and keep adjusting it. And at some point, it's just more work than is necessary to me.
Sure.
I could do a better job writing it in 20 minutes than rewriting it for half an hour.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And I'm starting to see some wonderful benefits of it, though, like for CRM purposes. Or my wife was using it recently, the pros and cons of the 4 colleges my son is looking at and considering.
Nice.
And asked it to rank it, and it came back with all these categories, and that stuff is really helpful. That's information that we need, but it's different when you're using it for your business. I think constructing a tool based on AI that complements your business, like that example of the real estate company, I think that's where everything needs to go. I think
it's like a corner. It's a corner to kind of you can start to populate something that's valuable and will speed up a process versus a whole business solution at this point.
Yeah. That's the way I look at it. Instead of using Chat GPT or Claude as a crutch for your business, build it into how you market your business. Start looking at it through the lens of organizing CRM. It can help you with those types of things. Use it as a VA. But until you're ready to build something around it, it's not even worth projecting to people yet. If you're, say a business coach, well, if you've built an AI tool, like, Emanuel, you know all about this because, but if you built a tool out of it that was appropriate for your business, then that is a totally different conversation.
Yeah, and I think, what my coaching to people is to build those custom GPTs, right? And that's to me the real secret. And inside of my custom GPT, I probably have 20 documents that I built, right? I've got the top 5 neuromarketing consumer books, and I have ICPs, and I have 4 or 5 of the books I've written. I have a soul document which directs it how to think and act and where to start everything from. I have exclusion words, like you never say these words. And then I have things that, around how to humanize text, and then SEO fundamentals and cold email fundamentals. And so this custom GPT creates a guardrail system that puts out 95% good work and just takes a little bit of dressing up. But it takes the preparation. Takes the preparation in advance to be able to get the output you need.
Without a doubt. And I think it's a great, I've never heard of that before, frankly, the using Chat GPT that way, but I think that's a fantastic marketing tool. And I could see why your clients would be looking through a whole new lens at AI after talking with you. Maximizing Chat GPT, that topic alone, we could probably go on and I know nothing.
Right.
But using Chat GPT, I know. Maximizing it the way you're talking about it, though, is very unique for people who want to use it the right way.
Yeah, and to be able to get good output on a consistent basis.
Yeah, get the most out of it.
So, but talk to me a little bit about how you're coaching people to go through some processes on messaging to be able to stand out in this avalanche of content that we're getting
Yeah.
hammered with.
My background was all in the advertising agency world, and then I worked at Hasbro Toys for 7 years.
Nice.
And it was an ocean of master's degrees who would eat their young and on the ladder. I couldn't even find the ladder if I tried. Right? So after 4 years, they realized that I'm not very good at making this stuff. I don't have the training in that. I got a practical education in it, but it's not my strong suit. But they figured out sort of haphazardly. I sort of stepped up and organized our global sales meeting and turned it into an episode of The Tonight Show, but no interviews and just stupid human tricks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, nice.
And it changed the perspective of the VP of the group, who realized that I'm really good at talking about the games. So he made it my job to go to every toy fair around the world where our salespeople brought our buyers. And my job was to represent games, Hasbro games. Now, they have 6 minutes. We have 400 games. I look at all the other brands.
Wow.
They're using demonstrators, spokespeople to show how the new Optimus Prime works or the new My Little Pony castle. Well, here's how I think. It's always about the audience, right? I worked in advertising for 13 years.
Yep.
That buyer already knows how it works, what's in the box, how much the box is, and how many they can fit on the shelf at Walmart. That's when they show up. They already know all of that.
Right.
They are there to see and feel what we're going to do about it to drive their business. So our theme for the year, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm dealing with shovel cold. So let's say the theme for the year was joy of connection. Well, here's how I hate the term manipulate, but lead them the way I want them to go.
Sure.
The first 30 seconds, I would make the idea, joy of connection, tangible in their mind, and make them think about a family sitting around a table connecting, playing a game.
Right. Yep.
Then for the next 5 minutes, I go through each of our 5 game segments, preschool, family, what have you, and show them how joy of connection comes to life in those segments. Then the last 30 seconds, I show them the benefits to the joy of connection for their whole business. And sales would go up 10%. It's because I would seed an idea in their head in a physical way that they couldn't escape. Sure. And then I substantiated it and paid it off at the end. That's what they're there to learn. Not the 400 games, not how to transform Optimus Prime. They're there to see how we're going to take in how we're going to drive their business. So when I started what I do now, it was all based on that principle of how an audience thinks versus how a business thinks. It's two polar opposites. And I'll give you a great example of this. Anybody who's had a plumbing problem and is standing in their kitchen in a puddle of water can relate to this. Yeah. Time stands still if there's a plumbing problem. Anything else in the house, you don't have to worry about it, but immediately. But plumbing's different. So you go look for a plumber on Google, and you skip over the sponsored ads and the Roto-Rooters, and you get to the plumbers near me. One is Johnson & Sons Plumbers since 1938. One is Plumbers Plus. The next one says, we know how it feels to stand in water. Be there in 10 minutes. Which of those 3 plumbers are you?
Easy. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the idea of connecting to a human being on their motivation at the time of their need. Makes all the difference in the world. So the way my process works is based on the order of questions, predictive order of questions someone would ask at a networking event. So what do? I want to get them to say, tell me more. So I'll give them something like, if it's the PR firm, I make your news matter. Well, what does that mean? Well, you'll get writer's block, can't find the words. So how do you help them? I find the words they can't, add the imperative impact their news needs. How do you do it? Well, first, we discover the news you have to tell. Then we design it. Then we deploy it and measure results. Great. And the services can be listed under each of those. Great. Well, what's in it for me? I explain the benefits. Have you worked with other people? Can you prove this works? That's justification and substantiation. And then finally, I'll take your card. What's next? And it's based on the same logic as an FAQ page.
Right.
The business wants to put it in alphabetical order, but they're smart enough to think about most general to most specific, because that's how we think. So that's my approach, and I've helped dozens of companies try to figure out that way to come across as unique from all the other business coaches or all the other authors or, what have you. We're in a very, very competitive environment as solopreneurs. And on a platform like Zoom, we are on LinkedIn and networking. That's where we focus our time for our business. And you need to be sharp. You need to be in a room full of 12 people. You and I would only remember 3 people. That's just our brains. We can only remember 3 things at a time.
For sure.
So how do you become one of those 3? That's the imperative for everyone. And that's what I help them with. I don't see how right now AI gets to the point where my brain does. Yeah. I'm looking forward to when it does.
Well, you and I could spend 4 or 5 sessions together, and we could get you to 95%.
That sounds
as
great.
It is right now. Yeah, but not that that's the imperative. And I think that's one of the things that we have to understand about this tool is that there are things that I do not offload to AI. For instance, my LinkedIn connections, I still do that by hand. I still look for specific things. I still reach out by DM to specific people, and I generate leads and clients from that because it's very purposeful, and it's 1 or 2 a week, right? It's not 10,000 hoping for the spray and pray, right?
Well, you're talking to someone who answers the question, what do you do for a living? So it's a target rich environment for me. I happen to have a lot of calls each week.
Yeah, no, it's good. And the fun of it is, there's a couple of things I really admire about the work you do. One is this idea of creating themes. And I think that an inexperienced marketing professional or SMB owner doesn't understand the importance of themes, because it brings us psychologically together. And that you really, your experience in your story really showed that, where you have 6 minutes to create rapport, and you're able to do that with the theme. Like, this is where we all are. Join me here, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
And using tangibility is a weapon in what we do, right?
Yep.
Like you say ICP, what's another way to say ICP?
Person that needs my service, right?
That's exactly it. But if you were to expand on ICP and who needs your service, they're clearly they're becoming adventurous. They're becoming interested. They're becoming intrigued with AI. They are scratching the surface. So they're going to look at your tools, right? Your tools and what you can show them as a way to break into the future. That is your client. That's your customer, And it's people who are ready for that step into AI, but have no idea where to start. That's how I would explain customer.
I love it. I call it AI curious, just as a little
I love that too. That's
a little
great.
tongue-in-cheek joke, yeah.
but put a
same
little
idea.
energy behind it, that they're not just curious. If they're coming to you, they want to take a step. Make it feel that way, right? If you're AI curious, stay on Claude.
Right.
If you're ready to take a step for your business where AI becomes a tool, that's when they go and find you. And I know people who are just boiling with AI ideas, and they're throwing the word around and this and that. And it's like, it all comes down to training ChatGPT. They haven't cracked any major codes just yet.
It's one step. And then the next step is where you actually get your team together and then mandate an AI first mentality. And then that's where the real leverage begins. And then you're going to start vibe coding things and changing the way your business is.
I actually have a question for you. How do you interact with, say it's a business coach or a solopreneur, how do you interact with them to build the right solution?
Well, that's a great question. And then use cases is what I call it, right? We have use cases that we've discovered through strategic planning. And then we look at the standard operating procedures and what are the biggest bottlenecks that they have, what are they not good at, and what do they not have staff for. And so we look at those use cases and then prioritize them based on urgency and ease of deployment, because I always want to get something done and complete and functioning for them first, right?
Sure.
And so, I have a client, regional health club client, and the voice AI confirming appointments for personal training. That's a really easy, you can crack that one first. Or an accounts receivable voice AI for a plumber, right?
Yeah.
Where they've got big AR. Nobody wants to do that job. It's uncomfortable for everybody. The voice AI doesn't care. It just makes the calls, right? So those are ones you just get really easy wins, and you get experience going through the process. So that's
great. You're actually going through it on like using tools that they're familiar with and expanding the capabilities of that for them. So you're opening up a whole new world to them.
Yes, and in a way that's allowing them to get the leverage and not have to be a student of this giant black box that's changing every day. Right.
There it is. The giant black box that is AI. And we look through the window that is Chat GPT, but we still can't understand what's inside.
No.
But I think it's very smart for you in what you do to use Chat GPT as an anchor point for a lot of it, because it is what we know.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And, and I use Claude. I think Claude is probably the best for copywriting. And so it makes sense that that's where you gravitated to. Right.
I agree for copywriting and creative execution. If I ask it to make a sell sheet with the same text, it's going to give me the sell sheet. Chat GPT is just going to give me text.
Yeah. And then, Grok, that makes amazing images. And then you've got Google that's doing the videos. So it's like everybody's kind of got their little flag planted about where it works best. And we just have to be agnostic to platform and look for outcomes, right?
Yeah, there's not going to be any. Well, I want to give you a tangible example of what I'm talking about. You and I both remember Radio Shack, Circuit City, Borders, Books. Those were all driven out of business by Best Buy, Walmart, Target, what have
Amazon.
Yeah, and Amazon came along and changed the whole game. But even before then, big box was threatening the smaller specialty chain stores.
Sure. Yep.
AI is still in the Radio Shack days where there are tons of specialty stores. Nobody's figured out how to scoop it all up and put it into one box yet. But it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I'm certainly I have no reason to be in the prediction business, but I think by 2030, I think most American businesses will be using AI purposefully, and it will be ubiquitous. Executives will know how to use the tools correctly for their roles. How the landscape of the big AI LLMs play out, that's a whole drama. That's a Shakespearean drama for sure.
Well, I mean, it's not unlike a lot of other industries too. In fact, of all industries, you see it in cannabis. The cannabis industry, it started popping up just mom and pop shops in Massachusetts when they went legal, just a few dispensaries. Now all these corporate giants have come in. Like they're coast to coast, and they've got product and cultivation in every single state. They've got incredible marketing behind them, and they're just they're taking over where the little guy started out. And just like
breweries, the breweries in the 90s, right? Going forward from there.
Yeah. So why wouldn't AI be any different? I guess is my point.
That's a product cycle, like everything, right?
Yep.
So you find out the small guys do the investment, understand how to get customers. The big guys come in and buy market share and consolidate and squeeze pennies.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you and I could talk for hours. I really appreciate your time this evening. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me, Emanuel. I think that the topic we're discussing and what you do is very cool. I think it's like you said, it's a great solution for a lot of things. It's when AI in my world clashes that it gets a little dicey, but sounds like you're coming close. I'll have to send you my workbook and you run it through and see what happens.
All right, I'll do that. And if people want to connect with you and talk about how to tell better stories, how do they do that?
The easiest absolute thing to do is just look me up on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Mike Verrett who named a dinosaur. That's in my profile.
I love it. All right, Mike. Well, all that information will be in the show notes, and we'll make sure that people can find you that way. So thank you again. I'm very grateful to you, and
that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Can't wait to see you again in person at some point.
God willing.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too. Mike. Take care.
Well, that's a good takeaways in there. One of which is that the purpose of marketing is to have somebody say, "Tell me more." And so you can't just pitch, or feature and benefit somebody to death and expect to have interest. So I would encourage you to reach out to Mike and have a conversation with him about how you can tell stories that match what the humans who need your product or service are thinking and feeling in the moments before they start to do the research to find you. I truly hope this has been a valuable amount of time for you to spend talking about marketing and storytelling and AI. I know I enjoyed it. I also hope that you continue to do your research and find an LLM that works for you and in the role that you're holding, and find some ways for it to save you time. And with that time, you continue to upskill, that you spend it with your friends and family, and that you get outside into nature away from the screens. This is Emanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.